So another question, and it is more just bare bones, like how do you go from, 1 year to just continuing to choose each other? I think Richard had used the term, how do you guys keep choosing each other? How do you keep choosing to fall in love? I mean, mine's simple. I really like this person. I know that you guys see it, in spades through the pictures and the stuff that we're doing, but we have a bond and a love and a kinship that is a really enjoyable place to be. So that it's that simple. You've probably seen it in your sobriety, or you've seen different things. You put yourself in places, or you create boundaries in areas that are going to provide joy. And Tammy does that in a couple of different ways. Like, we're incredibly childish. So we can be inappropriate, we can be silly, we can choose a reality TV show and just, cut the dickens out of people just as if they're not real people, and make fun and goof off. And so, but really, I mean, one of the big ones is that she grants me the ability to be who I am. And so I'm ever increasingly liking who I am. I've always liked who I am, but I like who I am sober even more. And she grants me that. And I get to learn, be free, discover, and I get to do it in her presence and share my happiness with her. So that's how I continue to choose her. It's to my benefit. I'm absolutely love my time with her. So
the reason I choose you, there's no better option.
I don't know if you heard that, but she said there's no better option, and she didn't say it confidently.
I was kidding.
Where was I going to go? I didn't have a license.
Right, you need a driver.
I can pin him down.
Cheaper than taxi.
He'll always be at the house.
According to Nathan, not safer though. But he still rode with me.
Honestly, if there is one thing that'll ever repel me from getting a DUI again, it'll be you being my driver. Yeah, terrifying. Jail, fun. Driving with you as the driver, terrifying.
You're a survivor.
I made it.
I choose you because you're my best friend. And our life is like there's so many reasons. I'm like blah 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 blah. So joy, that's what we do for each other, and that's who we are, and that's what we bring out in each other. And the growth, we learn from each other. We can talk about anything. We can joke about anything. I've never had someone so close to me that I feel so comfortable in my jokes and my truth, Truth is so hard. It's easy with you. Totally. And I think it's because we're best friends. And we respect and we care for each other. I know I do for you. The bald head. Huge.
You were looking for a Jason Statham and you settled for me. No action.
You grew that little bit of a beard for me. I couldn't imagine my life without you. Like, it would be like losing part of myself. Ever. Yeah, and I don't know how else to express it, but the true, genuine care, love, devotion that I feel for you. You grant me being this too. You let me be who I want to be.
So the we for us, there's not a tug and pull. There's not ego. There's a generosity. You're very kind. There's a generosity.
You're very kind too, and very giving.
That's the we.
Yeah.
And then we have somebody asked,
Thoughtful.
what are our personal interests and hobbies that are, that you just have for yourself. I mean, mine, number one, is reading. She can't read, so she can't have that.
I can sign language.
Go for it. You're going to get it out of the way eventually. Get it. Get it. Go for it.
I can do an American and Italian.
Do you like hot wings? This can. Give me your sign language. I love golf. To me, golfing has been, even when I was drinking, I took golf very serious because it was the one thing that I learned that I could do where I had to tune everything else out. So if I had business, parenting, fractional relationship with my ex, I could go golfing, and you can't golf and have other things on your mind. So it was therapeutic to me. In fact, when I first considered getting sober for real, I was about 2 weeks from making my decision to talk to Tammy about my drinking. I drank so much the night before that I missed a golf game with my dad. And I woke up and I had to call him. I might have just texted him, but said, hey, I'm not feeling well. I can't make it. And to me, we all know, like, the amount of shame and just the way alcohol beats you, 6 ways to Sunday. It's like, that one for me was like, what are you doing with your life? You've got your family who loves you. You've got this opportunity to be outside, to do something you love, and you kicked it to the curb because you couldn't, just have 2 drinks that night. You had to turn it into 8, 9, 10, whatever it was. So that was a real eye-opener to me that I wasn't enjoying my life. I was more bound. I'm curious about the hobbies that you'll list, because I thought your only one was
I didn't say my favorite. So you're curious. So, gamer. Games all the time. Huge gamer. Love the competition. I'm always been in sales, so competition to me is like a lot of fun. So do a lot of games. Nutrition. I like to study. It's reading.
She reads.
About nutrition and physical trainer. But the cool thing about between the both of us is that we have these separate hobbies, but we come back to each other and talk about it, and we still know in our own worlds what's going on.
Right.
Jeff will come home from golf. He'll tell me who he got to play with, who he beat, who beat him. If he said hi to his dad and Nathan for me. But then I can talk to him about nutrition because he's got a science background. So we can get really in depth into the science aspect of it. So we still have our own hobbies, but we still get to coincide and talk a lot and interact with each other about them.
Right.
So.
Yeah. And so, on top of, so we do have things that we like that we wouldn't participate in otherwise. She probably wouldn't participate in golf, but she grants me and allows me the freedom to do that. I don't play games.
Not since BlackBerry.
Yeah.
What was it on BlackBerry?
BlackBerry, Brick Breaker. That was my last game. I'm an addict, so I'm not going to go down a rabbit trail of something that I think might consume all of my time. And I learned from Tetris in the early 90s and Brick Breaker in the mid 2000s that I can spend a lot of time on a game if I'm obsessed with something. So it's something that I just personally don't put my time into. Tammy spends a certain amount of time working out and listening to true crime podcasts.
Oh, yeah,
you won't catch me like trying to solve the world's problems. I'm, or even immersing myself in them. I try and keep in what I would consider that an untranquil space, hearing the horrors of some of the things that she delves into and tries to solve. So we each have our own thing. We spend 85 to 90% of the time that we have together we watch a hell of a lot of smutty reality TV, and we're huge fans of both reality TV and story in general. Story to me is we can watch a show and find ourselves in the story and find ourselves talking about it in the morning over coffee. And to me, you know, as a writer, like I try and find a metaphor for certain things and then try and let you find where you're at in the story. That's the way I've learned. That's the way I hope you guys learn. And then I think the last relational question we had, and we'll probably sever this video at the relational and then post a separate one talking about Afterglow and sobriety, because we knew if we did it this way, we would just talk and we would be in a more natural environment. This is us, so we're a little bit riffy and long-winded. The last question we had was what advice we have on sober dating. That's radio silence. We don't really. You go ahead. Go ahead and give it your best.
Am I best on dating?
I wanted to ask, what was your background of relationships and sex education growing up? Like you had health class, and hopefully it was taught by the art teacher because they draw the squid that looked like fallopian tubes, but it was really like if you had an artist, the art teacher for the health class.
Ours didn't look like a squid.
Not
it
a
looked more like a
squid?
starfish. Yeah.
You didn't have an artist as your health teacher. I mean, you have your semester of health education in like middle school, but growing up, did you have parents that taught you about dating or?
0%.
Zero.
So
I'm
my
at zero
mom-
too. So where did you get it? You can talk about your mom and parents if you want.
Okay.
But I'm curious
Okay.
for people who are asking us,
Okay.
so they have some context of where we learned how to date, how to interact. I mean, you might just go
so-
in a whole different direction.
Married for 14 years. Well, together for 14 years, married for a year. As far as dating, it was just hit and miss, you know what I mean? A lot of misses. For me, I did a lot of counseling in that area. And I learned in the counseling that first to respect myself above anything else, to respect myself and make sure that came back to me. And that was huge for me. That was eye-opening because I'd been dating not very great ethical people. So that was huge. And then to find something that I enjoy doing for myself. And mine was my career. I love my career. So, and my kids. So that's what I concentrated on, was those things. And then not to put myself out there all the time. Just let it come to me. And then you'll meet some guy playing horseshoes with a cowboy hat, great smile. So the respect thing was huge for me.
Okay.
Yeah. You?
So you had self-respect. So my backdrop was that I had health class and then parents who didn't really talk to me about, even not sex aside, relational development or expectations of a partner. I mean, we grew up with baby boomer parents that worked, 10 hours a day and then taught us through watching Dynasty and Knots Landing and,
Well, it was my mom's not there at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, so no guidance and not an art teacher.
I always remember the first thing that I learned about that was sexual at all, relational or sexual, is that we had 5 channels and I was skipping through to PBS, and PBS had Dr. Ruth Westheimer. Do you remember her?
Yes.
And this is the phrase that came out of her mouth. She said, it was I kind of like verbatim, it shocked me as a kid. She goes, if you are both in agreement, you can put it in the rectum. And I was like, record scratch. Like, I found my person. What can you do with what? Where? You know, and it was like probably 8, 9, 10. And I was like, here's this lady talking about relationships and sex on public broadcasting.
8, 9,
and
10, wow.
Probably, yeah. It had to be right because it was before health class. So,
Yeah. I remember the snow. You'd hit a channel, it had like snow, but then in between that, it would have like, scrambled.
Scrambled
I think that was my
Skinamax.
first I'd seen any
Right. So,
Skinamax.
you guys might not want to be asking us for relationship advice because it was either Dr. Ruth, Dr. Drew, not real doctors, or my art teacher. You know, I didn't have a lot of dating experience, and I was married. I was engaged at age 17 and married at age 18, and faithful within that marriage for 16 plus years. I had a quick rebound girlfriend that was a fairly easy attachment right after my divorce. And by easy, I mean she was my divorce attorney. So it's like I didn't have to go out searching. She saw I was available, and she signed me up as soon as I signed off on the other one. But that was somewhat... it was a rebound. It was too soon. I had to learn about myself a little bit. And one thing I learned tragically is that I liked my drinking more than I liked being responsible to another party at that point in my life. And so she was a decent girl, but just I wasn't interested in getting bowled over by anything except for alcohol at that point. And she took away from my drinking time, and I probably ended it because for a variety of reasons, but I wanted to be alone in my self-pity and not be accountable to anybody. So I didn't really date. That was such a quick rebound. I didn't date either. Tammy and I didn't date as much as we just immediately hit it off like we spoke about earlier. But my advice would be this for somebody who's looking for dating, and it'll be along the lines of what Tammy said. And I think we'll open this up as a question in the community connection and the Q&A on Wednesdays, so that other people who have had positive experiences can speak into this better than maybe we can. Work on yourself would be my advice. Be the person that you want to be around. Find things, hobbies, groups that bring you joy just by being around them. And I think in synergy, you're going to be attractive to another person that is not only at your tone level, but enjoys quite possibly the things that you're already a part of. So it wouldn't matter if it was yoga or a car club or all these different things that pique your interest. Focus on you being happy, being sober. And if you have to go on dating sites, I would just boldly put out that you're proud and happy to be a sober person, because you might get the people right off the bat out of the way that are going to kind of be a stranglehold in that department.
Isn't that wild? Like when we go around telling people what we do and that you're sober, we meet so many sober people that would never have told us they were sober.
Exactly.
We've gotten so many new friends from that.
When you're bold about it,
Yeah.
And maybe that's the attraction too of finding a mate or a partner, is that just in sobriety, where we used to think something was difficult or taboo, we put it out there. I put it out there that I'm sober, and the next thing you know, you got 4 or 5 people going, hey, me too. And they're whispering like they're in a club. And I'm like, let's not whisper.
Yeah.
You know, let's just talk about it. It's not a big deal. Let's talk about it.
But it doesn't always have to be that way. Like, I'm not sober. I'm a casual drinker. You're sober. But we've learned boundaries. We've learned to communicate. We've learned not to put each other at risk and to work through those situations. I mean, that's possible too.
Right.
But yeah.
So the advice would be just work on yourself. Be the best version of the person you want to be around.
Group thing is huge. That's
being
amazing.
in groups,
Yeah,
being in forums.
Healthy groups that you want to belong to. And
So we'll put that out as a question. We've had people in our group that have dated sober people, who have dated moderate drinkers. They'll probably have a lot more anecdotes than we might have. But I think that would probably conclude the relational portion. if you guys, we're going to post this as a YouTube video, and then of course we'll release it in Afterglow. If you want to list more questions in the comments section, either in Facebook or in the YouTube section, we'll just compound those questions, and we'll try and do this a little bit more frequently. We might even get a little, because you'll have the context, a little less long-winded.
We can
So-
also put in the comments who's really long-winded.
and we'll close out this version, and then we're gonna move on to a couple other videos talking about sobriety and also talking about the Dominican Republic and Afterglow and vacationing. And so thanks for joining us.